at sketching again, and we're going to improve the way that we use constraints and dimensions to make sure that our sketches are fully constrained. So I've gone up to sketch, I've clicked on the front plane, I've clicked N to go normal to, P to hide the planes, I now have my nice blank canvas. So we're going to go for some initials, and we're going to do the DTE initials. If you're watching this, you're probably studying some form of design, technology, or engineering. Hopefully this will be helpful. So let's start with the letter D. We're going to go just do a straight line, a line that comes out. We can go away from that point and come back to it, and it will give us a nice radius. The computer's being slow, which is fantastic. And then we can click and drag across and click again. Okay, and that's got the rough shape of the D that we want. So in terms of dimensions, let's get the dimension tool by pressing D, and we can click on here, and we can start by making this, let's say 5 millimeters. Made it quite small, but that will be fine. And we're going to have a height of, let's go for 15 millimeters. Now this looks crazy at the moment. Fine, we can use some of the constraints to make this work. One option is we could make this line and this line here perpendicular. That could be quite good. Or Control Z, we could make this line here and this line here equal, but that's gone in the wrong direction. Still quite useful though. If I go back, let's do something different first. Let's use this line and make it parallel. Okay, that's quite nice. We can then go up to here, and we can make that equal. So that's an equal length. And then the reason that this is still blue is because we can drag this around. It's currently anywhere in space. So if I move this over towards my origin, perhaps I want to click on this dot here and this origin point, and we could say make them horizontal. Okay, which has made sure that now this can move in this direction only. So I could take my dimension tool and I could say that this line here and this origin need to be roughly 20 millimeters apart. Okay, and it's now all black, which is good for our constraints. We could then make this look like a proper letter by offsetting the lines. So I take this line here, 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 and here, press this arrow, it's going to give us this small D shape in the middle. If I take that and let's say make it 3, that might look quite nice. I could then green tick that. In terms of changing this, maybe I want to change this dimension to 3 and automatically that updates at the top because of our constraints. So there's the first letter, there is the D. We can now move on to the T. Let's do something slightly different. Let's go for a rectangle. Let's bring a rectangle up here and let's put a rectangle up here. Now we could connect these two together, so I could click on this one and I could make them perhaps coincident. Now those two are joined there. And I could potentially get rid of this middle part because it's a bit messy, so I could use the trim tool. Or I could use the construction line tool here, like so, make that a construction line, as you can see. And I could also make this line underneath the construction line, and then we could draw back over it. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're just going to trim it with the trim tool. So I click on trim, I click once, I drag down and through, and both of those lines have now deleted themselves. In terms of dimensions, let's make this dimension here 3 millimeters, so it's all uniform. And let's say that it's going to have a height up to here of 12 millimeters. So we're going to make this one 12 millimeters. Okay, now we could do a few things to make sure that everything stays in proportion. Potentially, I want to make this dimension here, let's go for 6, and then I could say that this line and this line are going to be equal. So that has made that 6 millimeters. In terms of the height here, we could make this height 3 millimeters as well. And now we're looking pretty good. What can move? So if I try and drag it around, the whole thing can move. So what we might want to do is click on this part here and this part here, and we can make that a midpoint. So this midpoint could join up with this point here, like so. Now we're in a pretty good place. What else is moving? Okay, it's moving around in a really bad way, which we don't like. It's twisting a lot. So what is happening there? If I Control Z this, we could say that we want this to stay at horizontal. So that's now gone black. What else is going to move? If we click and drag here, it can move left to right. So we could click on this line and we could make that perpendicular, and all of a sudden it all goes black. Now you could have done that with dimensions, but perhaps it's quite nice to test out different constraints up here. So I'm going to just make this 15. That's a little bit too close. Let's make it 18. And that is the start. We could then make the E. I'm not going to do that because we've kind of used pretty much all of these. If we wanted to, just to give you a demonstration, this won't work, but it will hopefully make sense. We can get this tangent, this line here, tangent to here, and then that has basically lined this line up exactly. If I was to draw a construction line down between the two, you can see that it lines up perfectly. Okay, so it's made this tangent here, so that lines up there. Everything else I think we've kind of covered. Concentric, if we wanted a circle, so if I'm going to have, say, a circle from here, that is technically concentric to there. So I could line those two up, click on concentric, and now it's not going to move. It will change size because we haven't added a dimension. If I made this 12, it will go black. So that is where you could potentially use concentric. Otherwise, that is all I want you to do. Try and write your own initials. You could then, once you've done that, extrude them. Let's go, say, 3 millimeters, like so. Green tick, and then we've got the start of some initials.